This call is being recorded.
And with that, we're back in business here. So we are on 3.7, Division 7 Council Report. Mr. Armstrong.
Thank you. I didn't put one in because there wasn't much to write down, so I said I just put a verbal. The main ones, Drumheller Solid Waste and Sewa, I was hoping to have some information for them, but we extended the Drumheller Solid Waste. The report will be coming back from our auditors in October because we're having some dispute with them over the contingency or the reserve fund for the post-closure. They're saying we're short on it, and we agree we are, but we're in no way are we going to put in what they say we need to be putting in there. So we're in the process of going through that. And hopefully we'll know by the next meeting. The other one, solid waste, say was Southern Alberta Energy from Waste. We were had expressions of interest out there for partners with Sewa, and they got so much interest in it that we've extended the date to September 20th for submissions. We've got over 32 submissions for partnering. Some of them are just information, but some of them are very, and they're from all over the continent, I guess. As far as China, actually, we got some interest from over there. So qualifications in the short list for the preferred tech vendor to develop the energy from waste phase will be looked at in after the organizational meetings and appointments of municipal representatives. So that might cause some problem depending on how much change there is on the board, but that's when it's going to happen. So, but other than that, things are fine in my area. I'll move my report.
Thank you. And also there was the conference that we're supposed to go to this week got canceled for due to COVID reasons.
Alberta Care Conference it got up in can't even think of the name of the town now. Bonnyville, thank you, was canceled, and the reason it come on was because the council from Bonnyville were all trying to get re-elected, and they were afraid that if they held a conference and 41 members or 140 members out from outside the community came in, that they would infect the whole community and they would end up in a big whatever the hell. So we got canceled out. And I was kind of looking forward to it. Like Scott was too.
I was too, actually, yeah.
Seeing that. But anyways, yeah. Thanks for reminding me. Linda, our administrator, was a little bit juiced over that one. But she'll get over it, I guess.
Just wondering with those short cancellations like that, are we on the hook for anything with the hotels, or do they accept that?
I still have to talk to our staff to find that out.
Just be curious.
Mine, I got my hotel canceled in time, and that was the same day I sent it up. So if she put it in that day, she would it, whether or not the registration was. But I think that will all come back. I can't see that being a problem. Anyways, that's my report.
Any questions for Mr. Armstrong? There's a motion on the floor. Any opposition? Seeing none, hearing none, that's carried. We'll move on to 4.1. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Can I just, I'd like to ratify the meeting I had with WID and successfully for time and travel.
That was a meeting that Amber had put to me, but I was sick, so I couldn't go. So Tom went. What date is it again?
Sure, now you moved that one off of there. It was there. The 11th or something like that? Just give me 1 second here. August 20th.
August 20th. There's a motion on the floor. Any further questions? I'll call the question. Any opposition? Seeing none, hearing none, that's carried.
Thank you.
Well, now we'll move on to 4.11, CAO report.
Good afternoon, Council. Brian from Administration. Page 101 of your agenda package is my monthly report. Attaches the Council resolution tracker as well. Kind of just cleaning things up over the Council recess and getting ready for new Council. The Council resolution tracker is on page 102. The 3 resolutions that were marked in green were left on as requested as per Council. If there's any other questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for CAO Henderson? If not, a motion to accept his report and tracker. And you want to add the tracker?
Riesling, so moved. Oh,
Glenn beat you again. Sorry, Amber. And the tracker as well, Glenn? Yes. Okay. There's a motion on the floor. Any opposition? Seeing none, hearing none, that's carried. Move on to 4.12, a proclamation week.
Yes, good afternoon, Council. Brian again. We had a request from, I believe it's CP Rail, to do a rail proclamation week for Council, CN, sorry. We've done this proclamation in the past. It was just a request that went to the Reeve, so we brought it to Council's attention. If there's any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. It says CN on here. Did you say CP?
Yeah, I did say CP. My mistake. It's CN.
No problem.
we typically do get a request from CP Rail as well, and there's a slight chance that that might be in my email. I will look right now and make sure I haven't missed it, but we may be getting one from CP as well. I will move that Wheatland County Council approve the Rail Safety Week proclamation from September 20th to 26th, 2021.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Any discussion? Not, I'll call the question. Any opposition?
Wait till the 27th to get hit by a train, okay? Remember that.
That opposition, sir?
No, okay.
That's carried.
You will learn so much, Councillor Eisert, during the week prior
Well,
to
that just ruined my week. I had plans. Oh, wait, I'm not in that country. I still can get hit by a train.
Move on to
the knowledge you pick up during that
4.1.3.
week will transfer across borders.
4.1.3. Go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon, Council. Brian again. So on page 113 of your agenda package is a human resource policy review. It's our workplace violence and respectful workplace and harassment protection. So under OH&S, it is required that we do an internal review of council policy once every 3 years. We last reviewed this in July 2018. So we are just bringing this back for council's consideration. Administration has requested or recommended that no changes be made to the policy and just have a resolution on the books just to ensure that we can prove that we have reviewed this policy and council has also reviewed for no changes. If there are any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Was there ever a time that we actually looked forward to workplace violence, that we allowed it? Like, I'm just curious about that. It just seems, I understand what you guys have to do, but all this stuff is sort of intuitive, is it not? Don't.
There's been incidents in the past.
Well, I know, but the rules are still the rules, right? Like, we're as human beings, we're supposed to treat each other respectable, and me having some words written on a piece of paper ain't gonna make me any more respectable.
But it can make you accountable.
Yeah,
I know. I understand what you're saying.
It was an interesting read, that's for sure.
No more behind the barn discussion.
So we're looking for a motion.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been waiting a long time to be either sexually violated or harassed. Still haven't got lucky enough.
Council approves the required 3-year review. Somebody shut it off. I move the council approves the required 3-year review. The human resources policies
As presented.
as presented.
Any questions on the motion? I'll call the question. Any opposition? Seeing none, hearing none, that's carried. We'll move on to 4.1.4, Seniors Foundation Requisitions Resolution.
Yes, Council. So on page 130 of your agenda package, administration has prepared the drafts resolution for Seniors Foundation Requisitions for RMA district consideration. So this was completed by administration based on the resolution passed at the August meeting. The resolution is in the package requesting administration to work on this on page 130. And realistically, what had happened is I do believe that the Reeve had contacted the Reeve of the MD of Greenview. I did contact the CAO from the MD of Greenview, but haven't heard back from him as of yet. So what we did was we did highlight the operative clause that was added to the resolution. Council may or may not recall that this resolution was presented by Greenview in the fall of 2020, and it was defeated at, I believe, the provincial, at the provincial level. So here are the changes that were requested. If there are any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Council's wishes. Any questions?
Just a thought I'll throw out there. And we're requesting that the Alberta government educate the management boards. I believe if that education is going to happen, it should also go to the municipal councils too, because I think that's the disconnect. Everybody should be informed of their roles and responsibilities, because everyone has a specific role in it. And in the county here, it's be quite easy. We could do it at a partnership meeting and it'd be a done type deal. But I think education, just can't educate one person and then have them. If we can make that change, I would consider that. I would think it would help.
I support that. I think that's a great idea, Councillor Custer.
I would just leave it up to staff to work it in where appropriate.
Okay. That makes sense. Still looking for motion, I guess.
I'll move it.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor. Any further discussion?
That's an amended motion?
No, it's not negative that. As amended, yeah.
Okay. As amended. No discussion. I'll call the question. Any opposition? Seeing none, hearing none, that's carried. We are on to 4.2.1, Corporate and Financial Services Report.
Good afternoon, Council. Tracy from Corporate and Financial Services, and this is our August report.
Hi, Tracy.
To Council. Hello, Jason. Or Councillor Wilson, sorry. So we have two referendum questions, and it's a yes or no vote, and one being equalization payments, and the other one being daylight savings time. You should note that daylight savings time is binding, while of course the other one is not. And as well, an order in council was issued to hold an election to select 3 Senate nominees who may be summoned to the Senate of Canada for the purpose of filling a vacancy or vacancies relating to Alberta. And all Albertans, of course, will be answering the referendum questions and also the election, the Senate election. Ballots will be available at advanced voting days on Saturday, October 9th, Wednesday, October 13th, and Saturday, October 16th. You can also apply for a special ballot, and of course, October 18th, Election Day. So under assessment, we received one assessment complaint for the 2021 property tax year. The complaint was withdrawn after speaking to the senior assessor. We will be commencing the interim audit starting December 6th. Under information technology, we are looking at e-ticketing solution. That's with the CPO team. We are also looking at password management software. Internet migration and AV installation is lined up at the Carsland Fire Hall. And we are also updating computer and network equipment at the county grader sites. The AVL project has been approved and equipment procurement has begun for fire services. And as well, we're looking at a document signing tool that will be tested by key staff. The on-premises services to the cloud is now underway. Starlink internet is installed, tested, and will act as backup internet shortly. Phase 2 of a workflow automation process around safety codes permitting has commenced, as well other laserfiche forms such as the safety meeting forms, field level hazard assessment, and then there'll be other forms for signing up for maps, utilities, signing up and opting out, and tips. And with each of those forms that we create, we're also creating a customer survey and just asking our residents how they enjoy the process. Under GIS, we've updated the 2021 fire district map for fire services, and then we're also updating the county's rural address and road database to provide more accurate results. And lastly, asset management is now a returning focus, and various tasks are underway in preparation for the framework that will govern the software selection. And that concludes my department update. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Any questions for staff?
There are no questions. I'll move the report. Corporate Financial Services report.
Thank you, Tom. There is a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. Any opposition? See none, hearing none, that is carried. We'll move on to 4.3.1, Community and Development Services Report.
Good afternoon, Council. Matt from Administration here to present the June and July 2021 Community and Development Services Report found on page 139 of your agenda package. Just quickly, some of the salient points for each division. With Community Services, as Council knows, it continued to review, provide comment and feedback, and we recently approved the Open Space, Recreation and Culture Master Plan. So we're very proud of that, and we're consulting with it after approval, so we're very proud to implement that master plan. We're continuing on with respective cost-sharing conversations for recreation. Community Services, Parks and Recreation also assists with the Next Level Sign project as they are a major component of the committee. Next quarter plans, obviously we're going to continue with operating and capital budgets, so we're putting that all together on the Parks and Recreation side. With respect to economic development found on page 140 of your agenda package, work continues at a more detailed level for the next level county wayfinding and gateway signage. So we're continuing with that, and we'll have further discussions with council as we proceed with respect to the work and recommendations from the committee. We have continued with the WC Conversations. They were the online YouTube and podcast interviews that were quite popular during our remote work with COVID, so we're continuing with that as well. With respect to fire and emergency services, some operational accomplishments, and I'm very proud of this, is that we're securing sponsorship for Fire Prevention Week. Our Deputy Regional Fire Chief is leading that initiative, which is at the beginning of October, so we've secured several sponsorship levels and dollars. So that Fire Prevention Week will be rolling out, and stay tuned for that. We're very happy with that as well. On page 143, 144, you'll see some Carsland Fire Hall milestones. So as council's aware, they took the tour and much of the work has been completed. We are anticipating, however, some delays with respect to ancillary lockers, etc., that will be delayed due to the supply chain. So stay tuned for that. I'll continue to keep council apprised. Nothing too concerning. And then we are planning that kind of opening celebration for council to attend. So stay tuned for that as well. You'll see some of the pictures found on page 146 of your agenda package of the updates with respect to the fire hall. Planning, Development, and Safety Codes found on page 147 of your agenda package. You'll see some of the actuals there as we're nearing the end of the year. Those actuals will obviously continue into the next year in 2022. However, you'll note some of the 2021 year-to-date development permits. We are high. Our development officers working quite heavily in terms of those development permits and issuing them in a timely manner. So we're very happy with that. And you'll note the safety codes and planning actuals there as well. With respect to protective services, you'll note some of the actuals there for reports completed and violation incidents. They are making a conscious effort to go out to the specific areas, targeted patrols, speed patrols, so they're continuing with that work as well. And that concludes my report. I'll take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for GM Buscario? Or Sherry?
Just one question. I think it was probably covered, but is the fire chiefs and assistant, are you moving out to Carsland? Are you going to be moving to the hall? You'll be still working out of here? Okay.
Through the Deputy Reeve, they will be working here.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, question to Matt. I know I texted you and Brian the other day, and I just want it on public record that there are signs ordered for the parking Clooney for cleaning up after dogs.
Through the Deputy Reeve, that is correct. They are ordered. And our community services coordinator is taking the lead.
And how about a timeline for that?
Councillor Wilson, I do not have a timeline, but I can get that for you and send council an email shortly after this presentation.
Yeah, that's great. And then I was just reading your report, and I was just curious what you guys were doing with Gleason Rodeo. How you guys are working together.
Through the Deputy Reeve, yes, our community services coordinator and I think several other staff from other divisions are working with the Gleason Society there on that. The last update I received, there are no hiccups with respect to anything like that, but I can get some additional information for you. To my knowledge, nothing is of concern.
Yeah, no, I was just curious because I've never really seen it on a report before, and being a part of the Egg Society, I just don't remember staff ever working on it other than for fire. You check if the tents are approved. But that's all. I was just curious.
Okay. Any further questions?
Just to note to Councillor Wilson that those cleanup dog signs are approximately 3 weeks out.
Sweet. Thanks.
Oh, your mic's not on.
For the fire hall, for fencing, so you're going to have a gate where the fire hall, fire engines go in and out, right? Nothing will be gated?
Yeah, so for the fire hall, it will be compounded at the back, but there won't be any gates for where the fire engines go in and out. Obviously, we don't want to delay any response
Okay.
by having it open and close them.
And so to the north it would be, will that parking be open
Yes,
to public?
yes,
Okay, at all times?
yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Welcome.
If there are no further questions, we're looking for a motion.
Also move.
Councillor Bigger's moved to accept for information. Any further questions, any discussion? If not, I'll call the question. Any opposition? Hearing none, seeing none, that's carried. We'll move on to 4.3.2, resolution for livestock and beekeeping. Go ahead. You just got to turn your mic on. Oh, sorry, you got to turn your mic on. For some reason, they're turning off.
My name is Taylor Felt, and I'm presenting this report in response to Council's Resolution 2021-07-14. This report is intended to provide an overview for the process to undertake an amendment to the land use bylaw for council's consideration of urban hens and beekeeping within the county's Hamlet Residential District. Administration thus far has conducted a high-level scan of our neighboring municipalities to identify where urban livestock, specifically hens and beekeeping, are permitted and how it's regulated, the tools our neighbors are using to do this, and common regulations used to reduce off-site impacts and the safekeeping of urban hens and bees. You'll see on page 163 of the agenda, that many of our neighboring municipalities, both urban and rural, have provisions to allow for hens and bees. These municipalities are using their land use bylaws, animal control bylaws, municipal registries, or a combination of these tools to regulate urban livestock. Administration's initial scan identified several regulatory trends for raising urban livestock, which have been included in this report, specifically when it came to raising hens. Through initial conversations with staff at adjacent municipalities, administration heard that a happy hen is a quiet hen, and that the humane coop standards that have been identified have helped reduce the off-site impacts to adjacent residents. Other standard regulations have been proposed to mitigate potential nuisances and will be considered in our engagement strategy and proposed bylaw brought forward to council. Prior to bringing forward a proposed amendment for council's consideration, administration is proposing a two-phased engagement approach. First, engaging with community members through targeted mailouts and an online survey. And then based on the level of response we receive and feedback, administration may proceed with one-on-one conversations and a community hall meeting. Administration is proposing to undertake engagement throughout the fall, providing an engagement summary for council's review prior to preparing amendments to the land use bylaw in late 2021, early 2022. The proposed amendments will be circulated for feedback from the public at that time, prior to preparing a bylaw for the public hearing process in February or March of 2022. And that concludes my presentation. If council has further questions, I'm happy to address them.
Thank you. Any bee or hen-related questions?
Just not a fan of the community hall engagement. Your first steps, I guess you can see from there on, but even just, you have to have a public hearing, right? So even just a public hearing, better than going to every community, would, I think that would be quite time consuming.
Through the Deputy Chair, we've budgeted on the longer side of this entire process based on some of the feedback we are anticipating. So there are some areas, if we don't have opposition, that we can kind of shorten those timelines.
Okay. That's it. I'll move recommendation.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Any discussion on the motion or any further questions? If not, I will call the question. Motion. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, seeing none, that's carried. Is our 1 o'clock appointment on? We know. He was going to dial in, wasn't he? Is there somebody on the line? I think we'll move to our...
Hello?
Hello. Good afternoon. It's Deputy Reeve Clausen here. Are you our 1 o'clock appointment?
I believe so. It's Constable Bisson here from Bassano Detachment here, just acting detachment commander in place of Corporal Andrews.
Okay. Well, awesome.
Perfect.
Proceed as you will.
Okay, so I'm going to go over, I guess, our policing report here. As far, I'm not sure how Corporal Andrews usually goes about this, but I'm just going to go along here with the material I have. So our priorities are community engagement. That's going to be priority number 1. Our priority number 2 is contribute towards safe roads, and priority 3 is crime reduction and rural property crime. So I'm going to go back to priority 1 here, which is the community engagement. We had 28 youth engaged in sessions in Bazzano, Gem, Rosemary, and the County of Newell. Community engagement and crime reduction programs. We had 1,500 residents engaged with a Bazzano Rural Crime Strategy Project. That project consisted of myself actually going door to door to all of our rural residences and handing out pamphlets and signage, educating people in regards to rural property crime and suspicious activity and how to go about reporting it. We also had signs made up that were given to rural community members for just indicating that the property was monitored and no trespassing through the Bazzano RCMP in partnership. We had 9 Bazzano crime tip videos where Corporal Andrews, myself, and other Bazzano detachment members would go online on Facebook and post crime videos for tips and tricks regarding frauds that we noticed were trending and just other related community problems we noticed, like trends that were on the rise. We had 6 reading programs. We participated in 4 special events. Those 4 events being the Rosemary Canada Day Parade, the Rosemary High School Graduation Parade, the Bazzano High School Graduation Parade, and we also conducted a special presentation to all schools in regards to internet safety. I'm going to go to our second priority here, which was contribute to safe roads. The priority to contribute to safe roads, we had 4 impaired drivers that were charged in our community here. That is in between Bazzano, Gem, Hazar, and Rosemary. We had 99 tickets served upon motorists driving on Highway 1 going over 140 kilometers an hour on that highway. So they were in excess of 140. And we had 12 motor vehicle collisions in that time. And just to clarify, I'm just talking about the first quarter here of 2021. And then lastly, our priority number 3, crime reduction. We had 138 proactive rural crime patrols to the areas of Hazar, Bazzano, Gem, Rosemary. We had 95 hotspot and or night patrols based off of our intelligence-led program from last year that had identified hotspot areas where copper thefts were, where copper thefts were prevalent and had increased patrols in those designated areas. Overall, that's about it, unless there's any further questions. I can say overall, crime is on the decline right now. Property crime is down 200% as far as our stats go. Does anyone have any questions or any points they'd like me to discuss further?
Yeah, thank you. Any questions from council? Does not sound like there's any questions. Thank you very much.
Sure, and I'm not sure if Corporal Andrews goes over anything different than what I did. I'm just reading through his report here, and if there's anything I missed, just let me know if there's anything you want to discuss specifically.
No, that sounds very sufficient for us. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Yep, no problem.
Have a great day.
Yeah, and if you can just pass along our thanks for all of the community engagement as well. I know it's appreciated. Throughout the county, particularly the area that your detachment serves. So thank you so much.
Definitely, I will pass that along to Corporal Andrews. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do I need a motion to accept that? It's just a report, right?
You could accept the presentation as information, if council would like. We would just note that they were here and presented to council when council heard the presentation.
So we have a motion on the floor from Councillor Kester for accepting the report as information.
Sorry, can you clarify who moved the motion?
Councillor Kester?
Thank you.
I'll call the question. Any opposition? That's carried. We'll move on to 4.3.3 Resolution Muirfield Mercantile Planning Process Summary. Please proceed.
Thank you. Hello again, Council. Stefan Kuntz presenting on behalf of Administration. So this item is in response to Resolution 2021-0730. It's directed Administration to provide a summary on the process to subdivide the Muirfield Mercantile building site. Let's bring up a map here. So here's a general location located in the Lakes of Muirfield, and here's the site itself. So the site deals with two parcels here. This is the main one in question, the Mercantile site. This is in Direct Control District 7. This is Cell 7, which allows for village center, so some small business and commercial uses. Cell 8 is indicated here as well, just for information. That is indicated in the DC as a seniors independent living facility. So what I'll do is give a little background on the situation and then kind of explore the easy option, which is just subdividing the one building out, and then provide some options as directed for some other redesignation and policy documents. So subdividing the parcel itself, as I mentioned, is fairly straightforward from a land use perspective. It would require that Direct Control 7 be amended, so a redesignation application. The parcel size is 5.2 acres, and that's the minimum parcel size of Cell 7. So that would need to be adjusted in order to do that. The simplest way, again, for that would be either add another cell with a building in it, and then just reduce the size of Cell 7, and then call the other one Cell 7A or something like that. And then that would allow us to do the subdivision application. As the site there is already developed, obviously it's rather minimal in what's required. Geotechnical investigation was undertaken during the area structure plan. Traffic impact assessment wouldn't be required as, again, it's existing and it has an existing approach to Muirfield Boulevard to the north. Potable water and wastewater servicing is available via Muirfield water treatment. The only item that would be of consideration there is actually providing servicing to the other parcel. Estimated cost of tying in for that would be approximately $75,000 per lot. The only outstanding technical document that we've identified is the stormwater management plan. Obviously, given the site, it's not a concern right now, but if we're going to reduce it to 1 acre or 3/4 of an acre, whatever it might be, I obviously want to make sure that that's going to be able to deal with its on-site stormwater and not flood out the rest of the lands. So again, that's rather straightforward. The remainder lands would be allowed to remain as is and could be developed in accordance with the Direct Control District. Now, in terms of the other options for maybe doing a more fulsome thing, to subdivide individual lots gets kind of tricky because then we're guessing what exactly is, prospective developers might want to do in that location. So one way to go around that would be either to redesignate Direct Control 7 to allow for smaller lots, and then people could subdivide them as they go, or do a policy document that would essentially either a area concept plan or master site development plan that would show where the road connections are going to be, where the prospective buildings could be located, excuse me, where the parking areas would be, where the stormwater facilities would be, and that type of thing. So that is a possibility. Just keep in mind with that type of thing, again, the technical documents come up. And in that case, so again, full stormwater management, the traffic impact assessment would apply in that situation, as well as obviously the servicing. And just for the cost of those documents, it's tough to say exactly. The estimate we got from our engineer was rather broad, could be between $5,000 and $10,000 to $20,000 just for the report itself, and that wouldn't obviously include the actual improvements that were required. But that is an option. So that concludes my presentation. I'll obviously be happy to answer any questions should you have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or direction that we want to give staff? Probably be me mostly. Being it's in my division, I brought this forward because we had some trouble with that building, and I don't think we want to be landlords anymore. Staff definitely do not want to be. Some things that you said there, so that parcel that has a building on right now does not have current hookup to water and wastewater, but it is in the area, and stormwater is in the area too. I don't know if it's built for capacity for that whole site. But for myself, I think we should parcel out that building and put it up for sale. I know I've had a lot of people call me and ask about it. And for the rest of the site, I'd like to see whatever makes it the most saleable. They needs to have access. Do we need to go down a rabbit hole and have a deep plan? I don't know. But maybe a little bit of vision there wouldn't hurt for some people to see, but it's got a great access. And then, of course, access is the next question. Do we still use that approach to go through to another site? Or do we have to approach it from somewhere else? From the other gravel road to the south? And then is there consideration in there for the Canada Post has boxes on that parking lot right now? Do we have to have consideration for that as well? So those are some things I think we got to answer and figure out.
Through the chair, yeah, that certainly would be an option for things like the mailboxes. Canada Post is typically circulated on these type of things, so they would obviously know, and if they need to relocate them, then that could be part of that. Yeah, so I mean, obviously that's the quickest option is to circulate that or to subdivide that one parcel that would be able to be sold. Perhaps something that we could consider as we're doing that is to look at kind of some perspective, maybe like a shadow plan type thing of what the rest could look at, and then as you're considering this, getting that one ready for sale. If that happens and then council still wants to consider something more fulsome for the remainder area, perhaps we could consider it at that time.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Can it, like it's perfect retail spot, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So can you keep it, you don't want to sell it and have somebody put up a...
No, my intention has always been to keep it.
So can we keep it as retail? I don't know if we have...
Through the chair, yes. And I think that's, the problem isn't necessarily the use there. I think it's that somebody can't necessarily come in and subdivide a small parcel. It's kind of a large area just to have you need somebody with a big vision, right? The other question there, and that's kind of where the risk that you have to think about is what is the level that a business is going to be viable there? And again, that's what I'm saying, where we don't necessarily want to put ourselves in a box where we're saying it has to be a quarter-acre lot or it has to be whatever. Giving somebody who's going to have the opportunity to make that choice themselves down the line more flexibility is probably the best. But yeah, certainly for a commercial area, this is what it's designated for now. So.
So do you envision having that access, but having all the lots available through that driveway where county...
However, yeah, first is access for the rest of the parcel, whether it be from the south. Cannot be from, I'm sure, from Lyalta Road there, the paved road. Pardon me. But yeah, is having that, whether it be a cul-de-sac or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you could leave the rest blank until someone comes in and decides they want an anchor parcel and they need how many acres, and then as long as they leave enough for future. But I don't want to sink a bunch of money into it and plan it to the nth degree, because it's going to be kind of a build to suit tenant kind of thing. But we're not going to be the build, we're just going to provide the land. So that's my idea. I don't know. Like I said, I've had a lot of people call about it and want to look and see if there's an availability. They don't really want in-depth. Someone may want to buy the whole thing and figure something out. That might be the best. But yeah.
Just for council's consideration as well, obviously we're seeking further direction based on the information provided, and as Stefan described, I think it's important that council not box ourselves in and confine ourselves to obviously a certain set of parameters, but rather one of the suggestions was obviously looking at this in a more holistic approach, area concept plan, the master site development plan. I mean, those options would definitely provide kind of a fulsome picture as to what's possible, but also looping in the more technical matters of the specific area. I think administration and staff here, we have some knowledge in terms of where council is going with this. Obviously keeping in mind our existing mercantile building there, and obviously not being in the business of being landlords, but rather making it suitable for sale. In my opinion, I think that having one of those plans, area concept, and the rest, I think that would be very beneficial in positioning this area as where we're envisioning and where we're going with it. So in terms of direction, those are some options to direct us to undertake that. And then we'll have a better idea as to where we're going technically with respect to obviously servicing and the rest, and then obviously from a planning and development perspective. So those are some options for your consideration for some direction.
Through the chair, have you had a meeting with the community to see what their vision is of that area?
So with respect to this report, we have not, but that would be, I mean, those are all part of this process that we're going to undertake. It's not a quick one. It's definitely an at-length process, both internally and externally as well. So
the general feel I've got from people is they're fully expecting it to be retail of some sort out there. Be it gas station or whatever at some point. I think we have to look at investing money into putting water and sewer services to that building now. I think that'll pay itself back, because if someone buys it now, they're going to do it regardless, and we can just add that to the price of the building. I think that'd be a smart investment there now. And then the rest of it, what you said, basically all of it, look into it and come up with a general idea of what can work and some costing for people so they know if they want so many acres, this is the water they're going to need, this is the cost. Here's the hoops you got to jump through, whether or not we pay for them up front, and try to recover those costs as much as we can.
Scott, how close is utilities to that building? Is it right to the property line, or is it back at the gate?
The utilities, I believe, are by basically the edge of the pavement to the west. I believe. Staff probably know better than me.
So like to the main road there, like to the property line pretty well?
Rice is coming.
Yes, through the chair, I believe, without looking at the map, the water services end kind of between the approach to the north, and I'll point out with the pointer, not that anybody can see it online, and this approach. I believe the water services end right here. So to extend them, we'd have to do some work through the lane, through the roadway, and then into the property itself. So there's some length to go.
But again, a service lot versus an unserviced lot, there's a different value and amount. So.
Oh no, I'm not arguing that. I'm just wondering if we're going to take it an extra 20 feet. If you take it to the property line of the property to the north to whatever lot that is.
Oh, I see what you're saying. On the other side of the road. Yeah, we'd have to.
Yeah, like if you're going to bring it each side. If you're going to bring it to that building, you might as well hook up both parcels to utilities, just the property line, and then leave the developers to the rest. Yeah. I mean, like you say, you're going to get your money back for sure. So.
Through the chair, I would recommend that administration would look at both options to service both lots, as if we were going to extend that line in the roadway. It would make sense to do both at the same time if that was an option, but we would bring that forward at a future date.
Okay. Yeah, and just to follow that up, do you guys, would there be a full build out on retail? Do you have an idea of capacity between those two lots, or that would be part of the research?
They're coming up with an answer for you.
Yeah. Through the chair, yeah. So right now it's servicing essentially one dwelling or one parcel there, or one building. If we were proposing to have 10 or 15, then they would have to do a study in order to determine that downstream that's going to be able to accommodate that. And if it needs
For
to
sure. Yeah, and that's, you wouldn't want to have to do the work twice. So if we consider the whole area and what the
That's
use
why I'm
of-
asking.
Yeah, for sure. Is that enough clarity for you?
Yes, so just to kind of circle back to the whole concept of an ACP, an area concept planner, staff undertaking that work. And through that, we would be able to, based on this conversation and others that we've had, bring back the more technical, kind of meticulous details as well through that process. So I would recommend that that's probably the best path forward for administration and staff to take at this juncture, and then we'd be able to bring back that information as well.
Mr. Reichert?
So if we do an area concept plan, can we, like, I would really love to get rid of this asset, the Muirfield building. So can we do a subdivision on that? Because I don't want to lose, I honestly think that there's tremendous potential on that 5.2 acres. But I think that I don't want, the longer that building sits empty, it becomes a depreciating asset basically, because we have to do upkeep and all that kind of stuff. So I'd like to see, can we do a subdivision and do an ACP sort of simultaneously, so that we can get this piece subdivided out and then figure out what we're going to do with the north and south part of the other 9 acres or whatever is going to be kicking around there?
Through the chair, yeah, certainly that would be the quickest option, just to have a simple redesignation and then subdivision associated with it. You could simultaneously do an ACP on the remainder part, but then obviously you're kind of assuming that you've already approved that other just the building being removed. The other alternative, obviously, do it all together. Yeah, obviously that would just take longer for that to get through to completion.
So to do an ACP on this, what's the timeline? Like if you did the whole thing?
Through the chair, so from how we typically deal with these things is when we get a complete application and then process it. So that's our typical timeline of, whatever it is, 4 to 6 months. However, as the applicant itself, we would need to get somebody to undertake all of these technical studies, assess what that information means, come up with a plan that actually is going to be able to do that, write the document, prepare some information that's going to show what that looks like, both for future applicants and council, as well as landowners. We mentioned the engagement aspect. That's going to be part of it too. This is not exactly what they see there now, so they're going to have a role through the public hearing process as to whether or not that's something that the area residents feel is necessary. So we need to prepare all that stuff, and that could take a similar amount of time in order to get all that together.
About how much?
It's
4 to 6 months.
yeah, probably more like 8 months to a year kind of thing.
Thank you.
So Tom, just a question to you and Scott. You're the two that I've talked about this enough, and I'm not going to be here, so I'm not going to try to push it. But I don't know if you'd be willing, like Tom, you want to get rid of it right away, but still get a good idea on the whole area and the utility plan going forward. Would it be possible, and I don't want to lock council in or any next council in, but would it be possible to commit to putting services to that building on condition of sale? Because I'm sure that would speed it up. It wouldn't hold us back from looking at the area or selling it. So I don't know where council feels about that.
For myself, I think the services have to be in that building before you sell it. Otherwise, you'll get your money back doing that. So.
Oh, for sure. I'm not doubting that. I'm just curious if it's going to slow down the process. If there's a buyer that wants it sooner than later, and we still commit to putting services in by end of year, whatever, they still have that commitment from us that we're going to have services in, but we won't lose that buyer due to timeline.
Through the chair, just with the servicing aspect, it doesn't necessarily need to be tied to a subdivision. So if, tomorrow or next week or 2 months from now, you decide to run that line to that, you could do that on its own. It doesn't need to be tied to the subdivision.
So when this was presented to council way in the past, was there ever a design for this that we were ignoring? Was there some old blueprints, or they must have had some kind of concept for what was going to be in front? That would have been the entrance to it.
In the original one, there was a lagoon in there. It was more in the corner, but since that was out, it was reconfigured. And then a time after that north one was maybe going to be they floated the idea of a seniors type residence, but I can't believe anything formal's come. It's just been kind of left there.
That was from the investors, though. That was from when the investors came in. That came behind with the seniors part.
Yeah. A dual or something.
Yeah.
Nothing. All dreams.
Yeah. Well, I just want to make sure we're not going to do something that's not been, the public has looked at before and think, yeah, that's going to happen. Or
I think if you have land available there, somebody's going to dream and approach council.
Okay.
Through the chair, if I may, this is from the area structure plan. I know this is really hard to see. North is to the left here, if I can see my cursor. So this is the site here. So this is the mercantile building right there. And then, so this is the site in question. It looks like there's just one large building with kind of a parking lot. Oh, that helps. So this is the site here.
I guess the only thing that we have to worry about is that the approach into the mercantile building, will that go through to another lot or not? We have to figure that out too.
We can do another. Sure.
Yeah. So
we're the county. We could do approach anywhere.
That's right.
No, yeah, and that's sort of where I would love to see the servicing, what we can with what water and wastewater is available to that site. What kind of capacity is to that site, right? So that if it's, if it's a 2-inch line going there, it isn't. But say if it wasn't, it would just handle what's there now, right? So I would like to be able to get a grasp on what is there. So me wanting this done fast ain't going to happen. I understand that. So I think as much as I'd like to make haste on this, and I really would, I think we should probably commission servicing our utilities manager to tell us what we can do. Can we, with what's in the area, can we service both sides of the road and that kind of stuff? So that's the way I would go on it, and I will pull my jets back. So
is that clear enough direction? Go everywhere. Yes. Make it so.
Yes, I believe, just to council, that we've heard where we want to go with this.
Yeah. My biggest thing is the cost recovery on it. I think whatever we do there upon the sale of that land, you should be able to eat those costs back up and probably make a small profit off it easily. That's not a big high priority for me because of the tax situation, but just to get it done, it helps the whole area. So that's where I'm coming from. So you don't need a motion or anything, you just need direction.
Yeah, and just to council, to circle back, I think what I'm hearing just from the planning and development side is area concept or master site development. Undertake that work, as well as get additional information from the utility side in terms of service capacity. Make sure we have the
services, make sure everything, whatever we're doing, we're not going to rip up a street again when somebody else comes in. It's done right.
Mm-hmm.
Get her done. Make it so. So you don't need a motion or anything on this?
I think it would be beneficial, actually, because there is some extensive work, and we may, as staff, need to expense some of it as well, but it would be.
Do you want to craft a motion for it, or?
I could suggest that council direct administration to undertake a ACP area concept plan, master site development plan process, and I think that should suffice.
And look into the utilities.
Yeah, sure. And look into the utilities or bring back. Sorry.
Through the chair, totally agree with those two options. Just one other one to maybe consider as well, in order to speed things along, would be just to subdivide the mercantile building and then leave the rest. So that could always be something that's undertaken first, and then we do the ACP later on. But what I think Matt's saying is we can provide an option where it kind of shows the costs and full process of the ACP process, more detailed for the subdivision, and then the utility servicing.
I'll put a motion on the floor to subdivide out the building and for staff to put a plan in place to develop the rest of that area with water and with services.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Any questions?
Should that be two motions?
No.
I don't think so. Ruling? No.
Just one question. Reeve-Link, from Reeve-Link through the chair. Just if we could also, and I don't know what the internet connectivity is out there, but just maybe consideration for some conduit for in case there's any potential for expanding that or fiber to the premise or things like that. Just while we're look at the other utilities, just to make sure that's integrated into the plan.
I do know there is fiber on Range Road 264 on the east side that runs all the way up from the highway. So whether or not it goes in I think they brought it in for Muirfield, but definitely.
Yeah,
sure.
I just want us to sort of integrate that into any groundwork that we're doing. If we can integrate conduit, and then that just leaves future, it just kind of opens up future potential. So.
Is there a motion on the floor? Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. Is there any opposition? Seeing none, hearing none, that is carried. Thank you. We'll move on to 4.34, Comprehensive Fire Services Policy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Maven Council. I'm here just to present the Comprehensive Fire Services Policy 11.1 and the rescindment of the Fire Services Board bylaw. So the recommendation from administration is that Council approve amendments to the Human Resources Policy Section 6.2.3, that Council rescind fire policies 11.2, 11.3, 11.4, 11.5, 11.6, 11.7, 11.8, 11.9, 11.10, and further, that Council approve amendments to the Fire Policy 11.1, and further, that Council rescind Bylaw 2019-34, the Wheatland County Fire Board Bylaw. So I'm just going to do a brief overview rather than, I guess, read everything out, which is essentially, over the past year, Council undertook the Fire Master Plan. In that master plan, it recommended going back to 3 policies and rescinding the Fire Board. So essentially, the 3 policies are the Training Committee, the Operational Chiefs Committee, and the Capital Committee. Through those 3 committees, it allows fire services to effectively manage and effectively report up to Council while ensuring that the needs are met from all levels of fire services. What this policy will do is it'll give us the ability to meet. The Training Committee will be quarterly, the Operational Chiefs Committee will be quarterly, and the Capital Committee will be semi-annually. And we will rescind the rest of the policies. At the Chiefs Committee level, policies 11.2 to 11.9 will be able to accomplish all of those through our emergency operating procedures and guidelines. In my opinion, that's important because we'll be able to have our own autonomy and be able to create our own, operational requirements at the department level. So the relevant policies are the Fire Master Plan, Section 5.0. That'll be captured in the new policy, the Alberta Occupational Health and Safety Act, the Alberta Employment Standards, the Fire Services Bylaw 2019-06, and the Human Resources Policy. Essentially what we've done is we've condensed it into a 3-page document, again, by establishing these committees. It'll allow us to, I guess, govern sort of from the bottom up and the top down all at the same time. Over and above, any recommendations that come through, the top committee is the capital committee. Any recommendations that come through there will come up to council for final approval. So there will be no governance there. What it'll be recommendations that come to council through fire services. I believe it's a very simple process. It's been through, the associations have reviewed this, the fire chiefs have reviewed this, the villages have reviewed this, and unanimously we all feel that this is the best option moving forward to ensure a progressive and a progressive, cohesive fire service in Wheatland County. So that concludes my presentation. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you. And I must say, it looks like a red tape reduction if I ever saw one.
It is.
Thank you very much. And I know it's been a very challenging role, but it's paying off, so it's nice to see.
Just to supplement some of Chief Borgon's comments, so just kind of the reason for these 4 resolutions. So 11.10 actually does move into the human resource section policy, so that one's not rescinded. It just more reallocated into the correct section. The rest, we actually did something very similar with our safety policy. So if council does recall, our safety policies were kind of clunky, and it really did handcuff didn't handcuff, but it made for changes to be difficult for administration when realistically they are operational changes. And then the general 11.1 is just kind of a general oversight, which it will be excellent to have in policy, because this is kind of what we probably should have had all along. Just something documented, something very simple and easy for everyone to kind of use and understand. And then the last one, which is kind of, it's all together because it does work with our fire master plan, was that rescindment of that fire board bylaw. So that fire board bylaw, as council may recall, was done in 2019. It probably wasn't the best functioning department at that point in time. The fire board has actually never met, which kind of goes to show that it probably was an administrative error to set one up in the first place. With 3 committees, we are very confident that it would work. That was just kind of a general spiel I wanted to get out there for council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Baker?
When I was reading through this earlier, for sure there's benefits that are with volunteers, right?
Through the chair. So volunteers, they get EAP right now. And then they do have a wage, and it's laid out, that'll be in in the HR policy. So they are remunerated, and it's laid out in the package there as well. So if you just give me a second, I can read it out to you if you prefer.
So that is on page 183 of your agenda package. Mm-hmm. And just to note, volunteer firefighters do qualify for insurance under the county insurance program. Oh, okay. So yes, there is the EAP, and I think there is something else called like volunteer firefighter insurance program. And just one thing to note is that departments are compensated and associations are not. It's very clear to make that distinguishment between departments and associations. Associations, I believe, don't accept remuneration from the county.
Any further questions?
I don't know if you want individual motions for each recommendation, but I would move the first one and just comment how much I appreciate the consultation that was done with all of the stakeholders, including the associations and the chiefs and the villages. And I'm just incredibly grateful that we're going to have our experts, and by experts I mean both our chief and our deputy regional fire chief, as well as the experts who are the boots on the ground, our firefighters, and our chiefs who, are implementing this fire service, that it will be those people that will be collaborating on the decision making, but then you've also built in, good mechanisms to ensure that there's good governance and due diligence on behalf of council. So I'm incredibly grateful, and I would echo Deputy Reeve-Clausen, certainly red tape reduction, streamlining things. I'm so grateful that there's not a need to create another board, that we have that collaborative team atmosphere for our fire service. And I look at where we were and how far we've come, and recognizing that, we need to continue to build trust and work together as a team, but just overwhelming gratitude for where we are right now. So thank you to the team. And I'll move the first recommendation if we need to do them individually, or all of them if they can be done together.
Which is better? Through the chair, if we could do them all, would be...
individually would be best, yeah.
Individually is best. So there's a motion on the floor that council approve amendments to Human Resource Policy Section 6.2.3. That's the first motion. It's on the floor. Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. Any opposition? Seeing none, hearing none, that's carried. So we need for a second one now.
I'll move the council rescind the listed fire policies, 11.2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and further. Oh, I see.
Strike the end further.
And that further.
So thank you for that, Councillor Bayer. CEO Henderson, you mentioned 11.10. Should that be in there, or should it say something different?
No, that's actually perfect, because the 11.10 is now under 6.2.3.
Okay. So any further questions? There's a motion on the floor. No further discussions. I'll call the question. Any opposition? Hearing none, seeing none, that's carried. Third one we need to do. I'll do that one. That council approve the amendments to the fire policy section 11.1. Any discussion? I'll call the question. Any opposition? That's carried.
I'll move that council rescind bylaw 2019-34, the Wheatland County Fire Board bylaw.
Any discussion on the motion? Call the question. Any opposition? Hearing none, seeing none, that is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you. We will move on to 4.4.1, Transportation and Agricultural Report. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Council. Brad Bullock presenting for the Transportation and Agriculture Department. It's a lengthy report, so I've identified a few highlights to go through, and if there's any questions about any of the other items, I'm here to answer them. So crack sealing, first under Public Works, under page 207 of the agenda. So crack sealing has been completed on the majority of county roads for the year. Pothole patching was completed throughout the county. The Carsland Fire Hall was supplied with some aggregate for utility installation and parking lot construction, and the culvert crew installed the third approach at that site. Oil dust control applications saw a large increase in orders this year of 18. I understand we usually get about a half a dozen or less year over year for those. Range Road 261 MRO, the second lift was completed earlier this year, and the first lift for Range Road 254 just south of Highway 1 was completed. Skipping down towards the lower part of the page, Range Road 264 railroad crossing was removed. Pavement repairs have taken place at this location, and it dips in the pavement on the south end of Range Road 233. Range Road 245 fencing north of Highway 1 is underway and is scheduled for completion by the end of September. On to page 208. The Township Road 272 slide repair has been deferred until spring 2022, just due to, which was talked about previously, budget or tenders coming in over budget. And the Operations and Facilities Group will be monitoring that road until we can repair it next year. Bridge maintenance tenders was awarded to Volker 7, Volker, and work is set to start August and carry through to November on various bridges through the county. Page 209, we've been working with our IT department and MPE engineering to upgrade the SCADA in Murfield and Speargrass systems, as well as incorporating our computers in the plants into Wheatland County system. This should be underway. I think it's all set up now. For facilities, new fire pump awarded to the Slough Fire, installation week August 23rd. New security platform awarded to Siemens, installation week of August 23rd. Beginning with the Carsland Fire Hall, and it'll be a soft start bringing each building on individually. Skipping down to the land section, for Range Road 244, all landowner agreements are in place with temporary fencing completed and construction is imminent. Range Road 205, landlord discussions ongoing for backsloping of areas of acquisition. We're also working with Brown Lee to revise the utility bylaw and associated policies, so that will be presented to council in the future. And down to the bottom, Murfield lot sales have slowed, but as they are bare land lots and there isn't much time left for building this year, we anticipate the number of sales may increase over the winter and spring months. Deposits on 6 lots were forfeited on June 30th as the purchasers decided not to proceed to closing. And you can see a table at the bottom of that page giving a summary of those lots. Also in Muirfield, also discussed in previous council meetings, we are looking at the waste transfer facility site, and we're coming up with some plans. Administration's coming up with some plans for presentation to council in the future. It's estimated the redesignation process will take about 4 to 6 months, with a lot of the intention to engage the public on that. Of course, as a priority. Onto the hamlets, a new fence has been installed around the Gleason playground at the old school site. Also in Carsland, 7 manholes have been lowered in Carsland along the main road. Black Trail Memorial Site has been cleaned up, pruned, and re-rocked. Construction has begun at Hussar Transfer Site for new ramps and bunkers. A porta potty set up at Eagle Lake boat launch area. And then fall mowing will be started in a few weeks, depending on weather. For capital projects, the Rosebud Lagoon is progressing. There have been some delays in the past. One due to some unexpected additional topsoil that was encountered. Also a little bit with weather, but the expectation is that project, weather pending, will be completed at the end of this month. I think September 24th is the current date, and we'll keep council updated on that. Carsland Reservoir repairs are in progress, expected to be completed at the end of September. In the Carsland Railway Avenue, concrete curbs are complete. Line painting and landscaping is still outstanding. Actually, at this point, expected to be complete about mid-September, so in a week or two. Other capital projects, the Gleason 8th Avenue wastewater main replacement, completed in early August. Gleason distribution pumps and headers, RFP closed August 13th. Range Road 244, the anticipated completion date for that is September 10th, weather pending, so in the near future. Range Road 205, the tender actually closed on this, is closing September 9th. And then we've got 35 days for award after that. There is quite a bit of landowner discussions on that one. We are working with the landowners to get agreements in place. Budgeting on that is over the original budget at 5.3 million. I know the report says 6.3. The recent estimate that we had after completing a few design revisions is 5.3. And I should point out that about 650,000 of that is contingency, so it's pretty close to the original budget. And we are waiting for the tenders to come in, so we'll see where those tenders land, to know what the final construction prices are going to be, and where we land with in relation to the budget. Township Road 272, which we've covered, closed over budget, and we are going to be retendering that project. The tender documents are ready to be issued, and we'll tender it once the 2022 budget approval is in place, and we can proceed with that. The Rosebud IMP, we have had a draft of that report from our engineering consultant. I saw it and I was in the meeting. It was a good report, and we're just getting final comments back and waiting for the final report. On page 213, there still shows some pictures of the Rosebud sidewalk project, and so that is complete, and a few final deficiencies outstanding will be completed right away. Moving on to agriculture and environment. First cut mowing will be completed by the end of August. I think that was completed. I'm just looking over it. Yeah. And then moving down to some points further down, grasshopper survey completed August 11th. Numbers were low, but likely to rise in the future as populations have been very high further to the south. The ag conservation programs had 113 landowner exchanges, 13 inquiries about the environmental farm plan program, 7 environmental farm plans completed and approved, 22 inquiries about the Canada Agricultural Program, 16 inquiries about the Wheatland Agricultural Stewardship Program, 2 projects approved, 13 inquiries regarding the Safe Water Well Action Program, 7 projects approved, 3 projects waitlisted. 15 inquiries about the ALUS Wheatland Program, 12 projects approved, 1 project declined. The 2021 memorandum of understanding signed with ALUS Canada to contribute 52,609 for 225 acres. ALUS Wheatland is pleased to have been selected as one of the ALUS communities to benefit from Grazing Forward, a 3-year, $1.8 million partnership between ALUS, A&W Canada, and Cargill. New ALUS PAC members, Sonia Bloom for Foothills Forage and Grazing Association, will be taking over from Barb Archibald. Watershed Resiliency and Restoration Program. Rosebud Watershed, working with the WID in Rocky View County to promote this program and practice change in the Rosebud Watershed. Up to 100% funding is available for livestock producers to produce off-site watering systems and to install stream bank fencing. 10 applications submitted and approved, 3 projects completed. That's my report, and I'm here available for any questions.
Thank you. There's an abundance of information there. Is there any questions?
Yeah,
Yeah, Brad. No, go ahead, Ben. Sorry.
Ben, go ahead.
Through the chair, on Road 205, I've had some phone calls from some of the landowners. There's one landowner out there, you probably know which one I'm talking about, is telling everybody not to sign because we're not paying enough. And he's quite pushy, actually, to some of them. So I sent the one landowner that phoned me, my neighbor, I sent him the link to our policy as to what we do pay and how we figure that out. I haven't heard back from him, but the one landowner is out there pushing pretty hard to not have it, to have them guys not sign. So I don't know what you're going to do about it, other than leave him alone until you get a bunch of the other ones signed up and then go back and talk to him. But
We do typically encounter that from time to time on various projects, but we'll just deal with it as it comes. The compensation for road and land disturbances. Yeah.
I think I looked at our package. I think we're still fairly fair on our compensation package. I don't see why, other than he's trying to hold us to ransom.
Yeah, it's outlined in our policies for land disturbance and crop disturbance and stuff like that. So we will definitely kind of evaluate it as we go and see what the tenders come back in at and see if we can use that grant funding or not.
Yeah, we do have a recent redesign of that as well, so that may help. And we're just in discussion with the landowners again on the redesign. So.
Because I know if they start phoning me on mass about it and saying we're not paying enough, I'll tell them to end up down the road before the road work gets done.
That's the best way to get rid of it.
It is an option for sure, right? And if landowners don't want to get it done, we did engage with the landowners. As you know, we had it conducted virtually, which, I'd rather in person, but a couple people showed up, maybe two. The landowner, the virtual one, you were there for sure. So, we can go from there and see how it goes. Still waiting for the tender to come back, so we've got to bring it back to council anyways.
Okay, I didn't know. I just know that one person that's out there pushing, and he pushes pretty hard, or she pushes pretty hard.
Yeah, Brad, I was just hoping you could get Russ to send out the map of the locations he tested grasshoppers at, please. Just out of curiosity, and I can send it to a few of the producers in my area, because I've had a few questions about grasshoppers this year, and I've never, ever had that. So that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, through the chair, we can send that out.
Councillor Bigger?
That was for Jason.
Oh, yeah, that was a question. Okay. Any further questions?
Just
Through the chair, I have a question.
Go ahead, Amber. Sorry.
I was just wondering, and it doesn't have to be anytime soon, but perhaps prior to future council's capital planning discussions, if we could have sort of a briefer, an analysis on the MRO and just how it's held up, like without the need for banning. And I know when we did those couple of roads, we were sort of looking at them as pilot projects and hoping to evaluate those for use of MRO in our future capital planning.
Yeah, so again, through the chair, we are looking at those. We've actually done some touring recently of those roads as they are. We're also going to speak with some other counties that are using this type of roads and start to build up, let's say, a more thorough study of continuing with these roads in terms of cost savings and longevity, and come up with some recommendations to council based on those findings of how we proceed with that program. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Kester.
What is a Rosebud IMP?
Now that you put me on the spot, infrastructure master plan.
Okay,
yeah.
thanks.
So the one that was completed, water distribution was, and stormwater, I think, were the. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so all of them above. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, the report will be available once it's complete. Yeah.
No further questions?
I'll move his report.
There's a motion on the floor to move the report from Councillor Kester. Any further questions? If not, I'll call the question. Any opposition? Seeing none, hearing none, that's carried. Thank you. We're moving on to 4.4.2, road closure plan for 1011117. I was like, computer language.
I'll move the recommendation.
Staff wish to speak.
Bryce Mackin, Manager of Technical Services, to present Road Closure Plan 101-1117. Plan 101-1117, registered in 2010, created 4 lots and a cul-de-sac road containing 0.725 hectares, more or less, to service the lots within Northwest 2226-23-4. SD 2021-013, currently in process with Planning and Development Department, has been submitted to redesignate and dissolve 3 of those 4 lots. That results in the road plan no longer being required, and an application to cancel that road has been received. None of the lots on the road plan are developed and are all in agricultural production. Only the applicant's lands are adjacent to and impacted by the proposed closure, and the road plan closure will not leave any parcels landlocked. The area of closure will be disposed of to the applicant and consolidated back into the adjacent lands. If the resolution is approved, it shall be submitted for ministerial approval by the land agent with all required documentation and proof of circulations. Once the signed resolution is received from the minister, it will be registered along with the balance of the approvals and plans, part of SD 2021-013, by the applicant's surveyor as part of the final registration package of the subdivision and boundary adjustment consolidation application. And I am here for any questions.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a motion on the floor. Is there any questions? I'll call the question. Any opposition? That's carried. Move on to 4.4.3, Township Road 224.
Good afternoon, Council. Brad Bullock presenting. It's recommended from administration that Council approve a budget of $200,000 for the Township 224 double seal coat repair project to be added to the 2021 capital budget, and further the council direct administration to defer the double seal coat repair of Township 262, originally planned and budgeted for in 2021, to defer that to 2022. The reason being, and outlined in the report, it won't be feasible for the county staff to undertake the double seal coat repair of Township 262. One reason is the road construction was delayed due to the higher amount of dust control applications that we had this year. And the other reason is transportation has actually recently begun construction on Highway 21 adjacent to this road, which will make it quite difficult for our crews to complete this road this year, lead to delays. One of the concerns there is that the delays will extend past the construction season for that road, for the type of construction that it is, and the other that it will increase the costs of that as well. So the other road recommended is a shorter road, which can complete faster, is also in need of the double seal coat repair, and that's my report.
Thank you. Any questions? Looking for some motions.
I'll move the recommendation that council approve the budget of $2,000 for Township 224 from Highway 817 to Range Road 260 to double seal coat repair project to be added to the 2021 capital budget.
And it's 200,000, not 2,000, correct?
Oh, 200,000.
Yeah. Big difference. There's a motion on the floor. Any discussion? Call Call the question. Any opposition? That's carried. We need a second motion.
Do we need a second? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That Council Director Administration defer the double seal coat repair of Township 262.
Perfect.
Originally planned until 2022.
Any questions on the motion? Call the question. Any opposition? That's carried. Move on to 4.4.4, and I can't read my own writing what it's about.
Range Road 205. Councillor Armstrong added it, unless you already covered it.
We're covered?
Okay, perfect.
That's off. So we have in camera, correct? I'll make the motion. We go in camera. Any opposition? That's carried. Do we need about 5 minutes to get everything set up? The people on the line have to dial in a separate number. Do they know what it is and everything? Okay. Perfect.
Do you have to hang up?
Put on the elevator music.
Call recording and transcription are turned off.
You have to hang up.